Did you ever think in a million years that we would be seeing this guy in another Scream movie? What about this guy? Did you ever think we'd be seeing him in another Scream movie? Well, I didn't, and I think this is absolutely crazy, but it has now been officially confirmed from Deadline that Matthew Lillard is returning to the Scream franchise as Stu Macher, and Scott Foley is returning to the Scream franchise to reprise his role as Roman Bridger. And I'm sure, just like a lot of you, you're probably thinking this is impossible. But then I sat down and I really thought about this, and it was still impossible, actually. But then I thought about it some more, and there are a few ways that they could make this work. So let's talk about it. The first way is purely in flashback form. Like, they could take us back to when things first started out and Stu was around while Roman was guiding Billy. Although I feel like doing some sort of de-aging sequence like that would kind of just feel like a missed opportunity if you're bringing back both of those actors. You know what I mean? With the flashbacks, they could also do something individually, so they're showing like a moment from Stu in the past, then they're showing a moment with Roman. Like, they don't have to be in the same place. But as for the idea of flashbacks in general, when you really think about it, the Scream franchise is not a franchise full of flashbacks. That's not something that they regularly do. And so I feel like this is the most unlikely out of the few that I'm going to talk about here. The second thing, and I feel like this one is one of the more probable scenarios, would be for them to come back in some sort of ghost or vision form. Similar to Sidney's mom in Scream 3 and then Billy with Sam in 5 and 6. Maybe Sidney's having a similar thing and she's being haunted by her past, and when she looks in the mirror, there's like Roman and there's Stu, and Stu's like, ah! It's a really clever way to represent trauma and to showcase that. But with them having already done that in Scream 3, and especially with how recent they did that in Scream 5 and 6 and how prevalent it was throughout the narrative of those stories, I just feel like it would be a little bit whack if they returned to that type of storytelling. It does fit into the franchise, but I would just hope that if Kevin Williamson does decide to do something like that, that it's tasteful. Truly, I, for one, have never really liked it. Like, I did not like the Scream 3 thing with Sidney's mom, and I liked Sam and Billy in Scream 5. I thought that was a good thing to kind of push the story forward and pass the torch. You know, we're getting introduced to Billy's daughter, but it felt like they took it a little bit too far in Scream 6, and I've just started to get a little bit tired of it. But if it's not either of those two, there's really only one option, and it's that both of these guys somehow freaking survived. And as for Stu, I think we can all somehow wrap our brain around that. Like, the TV crushed him, but this is a conversation that's been going on forever. It's even a meta conversation that's had in Scream 6. It's like, well, the TV only crushed him. We didn't see him die. Maybe he's been around. It does raise a lot of questions for me. Like, okay, if he survived, like, how did that not get out that, like, his body was never buried or anything like that? Like, how does Sidney not know that he's around? Or maybe she does know. Maybe Gail knows, and this is just something that hasn't been talked about on screen, but I feel like I might be missing something or misremembering something. I feel like everybody thinks he's dead, and he would have just had to slip out of there and then lived this like very angry life of solitude, just hell-bent on revenge of Sidney, if that's even where they take his character. But, you know, he could show up and be like, hey Sid, how's it going? Yeah, I'm reformed. I'm not even Ghostface anymore. This is definitely a situation that a writer would be able to figure out. Again, we just saw him get crushed. He definitely could have survived that, and so it makes sense. But Roman, on the other hand, is a much different story. Dude got stabbed, then he got stabbed again in the heart. Dude got shot in the chest, and then he got shot in the face. Like, you don't come back from that, right? I have no idea how they could pull that off. I mean, maybe he got shot in the head and it missed some vital stuff and he comes back and survives. I don't know. It would be really hard to make that make sense, and I feel like really the only way to make Roman's character make sense is one of the other things that I talked about, a flashback or a vision or something like that. People have also mentioned the possibility of AI and like having like an AI generated version of Roman or Stu, and like maybe these kids are super high tech and they develop something that's bringing back those entities. I have no idea. I think that's very clever, and if they could somehow fit that in and make it cool, I think that could work. But as for Roman actually coming back, I just don't see that happening. Therefore, I think it's very likely that we're going to see a grown-up Stu. I think that he could actually be an adult, and it's plausible that he's there. And then I think as far as Roman goes, he's going to be going a different direction. It's really easy when you see an announcement like this announcing two different characters coming back, you're like, oh, they must be part of the same thing. It must be two Ghostfaces at the very end with this big reveal, but I really don't think that they would even allow this reveal to take place if either of them is ultimately Ghostface in this movie. If it is, this is a massive bubble burst and slip, and that sucks for all of us. We now know that somehow they're going to cook up something. Like, if we don't see either of them the entire movie and it's getting towards the reveal of Ghostface, I feel like I'm going to be sitting there and be like, oh, damn, well, I kind of know what happens now. But I don't think they're doing that. I honestly think Kevin Williamson is smarter than that. I think that this script is going to be phenomenal, and I think that this third act is going to have a lot of different moving pieces, a lot of which we don't see coming. I think there could be the possibility of AI coming into things, technology coming into things, past videos, something, some big Ghostface cult. Who knows what's going to happen, but I think at the end of the day, people should feel excited about this because we have Matthew Lillard and Scott Foster coming back to the franchise. It just feels like all these pieces are coming together, and with Sidney Prescott, you got Gale Weathers. This is just, it seems like it's going to be a ton of fun. But I am very curious to know what you guys think about all this. What was your first reaction when you saw Stu and Roman were coming back, and what do you think? How do you think this could work? Please go down to the comment section, let me know all of your thoughts, and get this conversation going because that's what this channel is all about. Also, hit the like button, hit subscribe if you're new here, but more than anything, my friends, keep up the good vibes. I'll see you in the next video. Peace!